The Algorand Foundation just made a major move. I'm talking about literally just moved from Singapore to the United States. On today's video, we're gonna break it all down. We also recap what happened in 2025, check out some price action for the Algorand token, and then we will finish off with some insights or some foresight into what we think will happen in 2026. Let's get started. Algorand is officially back in the United States, Singapore to Delaware. So the big question is, why would Algorand move from Singapore to Delaware? Well, there's a lot of benefits, so let's look a little deeper. I pulled up Google AI. Google AI gave me some great information. It says, companies move to Delaware primarily for its flexible, well-developed corporate laws, expert court of chancery, which is a specialized business court, business-friendly government, and tax advantages, attracting major companies for incorporation despite recent high-profile departures to Texas or Nevada. So Delaware got some competition, but historically, Delaware is the place to be if you have a corporation. So here's some of the key reasons. Flexible corporate laws. Delaware offers a modern and adaptable legal framework for corporations, including the Delaware General Corporation Law. Expert judiciary. So judging. The court chancery is a highly respected juryless court specializing in complex business disputes, providing legal certainty. Business-friendly environment. The state government and division of corporations offer responsive service, making administration easier. Tax benefits. Tax benefits. No sales tax, that's huge. Low property taxes and no corporate income tax on out-of-state revenue for companies not doing business in Delaware. An established precedent. A deep body of case law offers predictability for contract enforcement and corporate governance. So Algorand has made a major move. And remember, Jenny Levin has been hired to the Algorand Foundation as a chief legal officer. She's been spending a lot of time in Washington, D.C., and she's speaking to policymakers on behalf of the Algorand Foundation and Algorand in general, so that way they're more aware, and that puts Algorand in position to make deals, to make crypto great again in America. So that's very powerful stuff. Let's move forward. 2025 was a big year for impact for Algorand. This post says, we set out with a vision to reimagine how cash assistance works. Our mantra, we go where money isn't working. So that's what they talking about here. This one is about money, y'all. It's about money. 2025 on Algorand, reimagining aid delivery with the Algorand blockchain. So a couple of the headlines here, we have Afghanistan scaling what works. Our work with HISAPay has reached heights in Afghanistan in 2025. What began as a bold experiment in blockchain-based humanitarian aid is now a nationwide success story. Then we have Syria. This one I thought was interesting. Syria is emerging as a critical new context for blockchain-enabled humanitarian assistance and wider international development aid. In 2025, we doubled down on the foundation's engagement by working directly on the ground across multiple parts of the country. We partnered with a mixed team of local and international experts and embedded staff in Syria to drive adoption from the field up, grounding technical innovation and operational reality. So you got partnerships with Mercy Corps, Pioneers, Innovation for Sustainability and Impact, obviously HISAPay. They got a lot of work going on in the Middle East right now. Then we have humanitarian aid payments. Again, they're talking about Afghanistan, Syria, and then they says, in Afghanistan and Syria, are our proving grounds. Berlin in September 2025 proved our belief that major institutions scanning all sectors are deeply interested in new ways of delivering aid to the most marginalized people in the world. Definitely, there's a lot more marginalized people out there, so this is a great start of a proof of concept. Then we got the Blockchain Academy training the front lines. Remember, this is where the Algorand Foundation is working with the UN. It says the results have exceeded expectations. Hundreds of UN personnel from more than 50 countries enrolled in the program this year. What began as an educational experiment is now considered a core training tool within parts of the UN system, especially among staff in field offices and crisis response units. So again, UNDC, make an impact there. You're in Afghanistan, you're in Syria, right? Along with other stuff going on in India and other parts of the world. Then you're working with the UN. Representatives from 50 different countries are tapping in, and when they think about blockchain, they're gonna think about Algorand. That's good. So when they want to pass on that information, that's what they're going to be passing on. That's the game plan. Then you have changing the journey of our money, our work with Paycode. And you got Paycode right here. This year, we also drove a breakthrough partnership with Paycode, whose offline first biometric technology is used by over 6 million people across Afghanistan, Ghana, Zambia, Mozambique, Sudan, and the DRC. Our continued collaboration with Paycode will extend the blockchain technology to help reach the unbanked, even in areas with no internet, no formal ID system, and no financial institutions. We're not just reaching the last mile, we're starting from it. That's pretty nice. Aid Trust Portal, radical transparency for the future of aid. That's where they're sending out payments. This platform allows any organization, a government, an NGO, or a donor to trace every single dollar of aid from sender to recipient in real time on chain. This stops fraud. This stops waste and abuse. This allows verifiable aid to be sent and used for what it's supposed to be used for. That's the people who need it. Looking ahead where the journey leads. We're just getting started. As we move into 2026, we will continue to scale Hisab in Afghanistan and Syria. We'll deepen our work with Paycode in Africa. We'll expand the Blockchain Academy and grow the Humanitarian Aid Council, Payments Council, in a standing body that shapes the future of humanitarian finance. This part is really cool because when you look at Africa, just Africa in general is the future. That's where everything is going to change for the world. It's a lot of growth there. Booming population, and just a new landscape to introduce these different technologies to help scale what they already have going on. And a lot of countries, a lot of people, this is good for Algorand. Then obviously you have hackathons, Web3 masterclasses, ecosystem highlights. There's a whole lot more here to look at. And then we have a post from Generation Infinity. They kind of go through some of the main things as well. We'll read these out. Staking rewards has launched, doubled online stake and expanding validator participation. Exactly. Peer-to-peer networking reached mainnet, strengthening decentralization. TypeScript and modern IDE tooling lowered the barrier for new builders. Regulated stablecoins enter production under the MiCA frameworks. That's that USDC, that EuroD, and all of that. Payment rails connected wallets to millions of global merchants. Parawallet has done great work. World Chess deployed on-chain loyalty for 1 million player ecosystems. Yep, the Tower. Financial inclusion programs delivered identity and credit access at scale. DeFi protocols cross meaningful usage and volume milestones. Hackathons and masterclasses produce hundreds of mainnet projects. Wallet infrastructure expanded globally and transitioned to open source. That's what they got there. I've been covering all this type of stuff throughout 2025. And this one I thought was interesting. It says top 10 coins by number of active wallets. Number of active wallets. That means wallets that are being used, okay? Ethereum, 169 million wallets. Tether, 82 million, which I didn't even know Tether has their own wallets. That's interesting. Bitcoin, 55 million. Bitcoin Cash, 22 million. And then Algorand, 21 million wallets. Then you got USDC, Stellar, Litecoin, Dogecoin, and then XRP. XRP, what is going on? Algorand's popping, but XRP, for some reason, has so much more attention when it comes to active wallets. Seems like a lot more whales on XRP, I guess. But that's very interesting. Now let's get to the charts. So what we have here, if we look at it from last year, this is about a year chart pulled up. It's been in a downtrend all year, just like most cryptos. And as I talked to y'all about before, the line in the sand is 16 cents. Algorand needs to get back above 16 cents, then ultimately to get back to its 200-day moving average, so that way it can actually be in a bullish environment and actually make some moves. So what we want to see ultimately is price to go here and then eventually go here. And then we're back in action, y'all. We are back in action. That's just a quick chart breakdown because that's all it takes looking at this chart right now. We're not where we want to be, but looks like this downtrend is over. Now let's get to this. So again, Algorand down 67% from the 1 year chart. Not the best, however, still above 1.2 billion. Volume has increased over the last 24 hours by 35%. 8.8 billion algo are in circulation. So it's getting really close to that 10 billion in circulation. We'll be there in no time. That's what I got. And then we'll finish it off. This right here, I want y'all to check this out. Let me know what you think about in the comments. But this is the Algorand Foundation CEO, Stacy, appeared on Schwab Network. And if y'all have noticed, Mark and Stacy have been getting on to platforms that are a lot more high profile and outside of the crypto sphere and into the mainstream media. So she talks about Algorand, the state of crypto in 2026, the risks of quantum computing to crypto, and how Algorand is prepared. Y'all check this out. Let me know what you think in the comments below.
So I think we're going to see a lot of the trends that we saw in 2025 increase in 2026. So we saw 50 billion odd of ETF inflows in 2025. I think we're going to see that possibly reach those same numbers in 2026. We saw stable coins go from 200 billion to 310 billion by the end of the year. I expect to see another maybe 100 billion in stable coins this year. So this kind of deeper integration between traditional finance and crypto, I think that's going to continue. And that's going to mean things like stable coins, real world asset tokenization, and traditional financial products with crypto digital asset underlying. Well, I think one thing from a market's perspective, which will be very interesting, is that so Bitcoin, if you think about Bitcoin as the crypto industry more broadly, Bitcoin is a very high beta macro asset, right? And so the more that the crypto industry in general is integrated with finance, it's going to start responding to the same kinds of things that traditional financial assets respond to. Things like liquidity, things like the interest rate environment, things like macro headlines, things like regulatory risk, rather than this kind of older school Bitcoin 4-year halving cycle and what will that look like and where are we in the Bitcoin cycle. It's not going to be treated as this distinct thing anymore. We're going to have to think about digital assets in the same way that we think about traditional assets because they're so much more tightly tied together. Well, the real thing that you have to be very careful about is a blockchain is a ledger of transactions. And so if a bad person could go into that ledger and, take some coins away from me and give them to you just by kind of like changing the accounting on the ledger, then that actually means that you have those coins and I no longer have them. There's no kind of cross verification. So you have to be very careful that the history of transactions of the chain cannot be tampered with. That's the most important component of quantum security. And that's what we have focused a lot of time on. And we've been quantum secure that way for almost 5 years now.
Passive income. Gold in my dental, thank God for my mental. Investor fundamentals, told my girl it was simple.